Welcome back. It's time to take a look at what is being reported on the dailies. And I'm going to be starting off with the Standard. And first of all, I see here that IEBC court deals Raila major blow. This is filling vacancies. A key recommendation of talks between President Ruto and opposition chief Raila Odinga could be rendered dead in the water after the High Court ordered for the immediate recruitment of electoral commissioners, emphasizing the need to obey the constitution and noting that the talks did not have backing of law. A story that is on page 4. I see also here Ruto's visa-free entry proves tricky for some. When President announced that Kenya would become a visa-free country, many did not expect fresh requirements with new costs and paperwork for some. I think we are going to be looking at that on page 2 because this is quite interesting. I mean, this was something that we thought would be smooth, but then it looks like there's some, finances attached to that. I see electronic travel authorization (ETA) needed for those willing to visit. Only citizens from East African community are currently exempt. And I see here that President William Ruto was celebrated last year when he announced that Kenya would be a visa-free Africa for African visitors. But many have been surprised by the new requirements, which have introduced new costs and paperwork for some. Quite interesting here. And I see also that Anthony Mbeyange, an economist and public policy expert, says ease of travel is extremely important to attract tourists and business. So I think this could hurt the Kenyan economy in the short to medium term in different ways. You can look at that story that is on page 2. And I see here that more than 60,000 applications have been processed so far. And the service can currently handle about 5,000 requests a day, he added. All right. And that's a story that you can find in more detail that is on page 2. And I also see here in Kilifi on the counties, Kindiki declares Mackenzie's church a criminal group. So Interior CS Kithure Kinduku has gazetted controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie's Good News International Ministries as an organized criminal group. More stories coming from that. And remember that Mackenzie and his wife and also 93 associates are facing various charges ranging from manslaughter, terrorism, radicalization, child torture, and also abuse. And we have page 3 here, a story that I touched on yesterday. Burial of man killed by Halwale bull stopped. And this man is actually a caretaker of the Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale, which took a twist yesterday after the police stopped the burial, saying that they need to do a second post-mortem, that is to make sure that they have all the evidence right. And they're saying that police turned them away, saying they would seek a second opinion from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters in Nairobi. Some stipulations are saying that could this have been planned by Boni Halwale? So that's a very, very deep story right there, and that is on the page 3 of the Standard. Moving on, I see blow to Raila's court orders recruitment of new IEBC team. And I see here that the High Court has dealt Azimio leader Raila Odinga a major blow by ordering immediate recruitment of commissioners to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And this is while dismissing bipartisan talks between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza on expansion of the IEBC selection panel and reconstitution of the commission for lack of constitutional and legal backing. Justice Tande Mogore ruled that the strict timelines to recruit the commissioners to conduct by-elections and review boundaries cannot wait anymore for politicians to agree. That is a story on page 4. Moving on, I see audit uncovers 687 excess staff at Treasury. I see Auditor General says excess workers include high-profile economists and also accountants. And PSC recently said 15 state organizations have excess staff by over 50%. That's on page 5. And moving on page 6, I see more than 17,000 to wait longer for promotion as teachers hit 364,258. That's quite a big number. And we have 28,681 teachers who have actually applied for promotion last year, and only 11,231 were successful. So TSC annual report shows only 11,231 out of that number, 28,681 who applied for the promotion were successful, and commission blames mental illness for disciplinary cases among teachers. That is a story you can find in more detail. That is on page 6. And moving on, I see on page 7, Treasury begins plan to pay 500 billion shillings pending bills. And it says that first interim report will be ready by March for payment to begin. And also in other news, Tuju back in court once EADB official grilled over 1.5 million dispute. Moving on, I see here housing bill now in MP's hands after public participation closes. All right, interesting. I see here legislators conclude collection of views from the public. Among the views is that the government should seek alternative source of funds, a story that we also touched on yesterday. And for the bill, I see here President William Ruto says, I have authority from Kenyans and God, I will continue with the housing program. But then we have other people, for instance, I see here the tax lawyer saying proper public participation need to be put in place so that people know the benefits from it. And we also see some people who are in support, like Molo MP Kimani Kuria, saying the levy is not just a contribution by those who are salaried, but also the unemployed. So it's not about wale ambao wako salaried ndo wanafinyiliwa sana. But then remember, we also have the Kenya Green Building Society in turn saying the 1.5% should be voluntary. So we are still waiting to see how this turns out. And I see here TSC deducts housing levy from teachers' pay. January pay slips showed that 1,125 was deducted for controversial plan. The Attorney General and the National Treasury has been appealed, and more than 364,000 teachers are the first casualties of government defiance after they were slapped with the housing levy deductions on their salaries. And moving on, I see APRO over City Halls, 30 million splurge on maize. This is saying that plans by Nairobi County Assembly to acquire state-of-the-art 18-karat gold-plated maize has divided the MCAs, a story you can find on page 10. And when I go maybe to the back page here, I see Smile South Africa and let the world wonder why. South Africa leave heavyweights Morocco stand. Bafana face Cape Verde in the last 8 match. And I also see here local coaches favored again at Africa Cup of Nations finals. The late Stephen Keshi took Nigeria's Super Eagles to victory in the 2013 finals. Overall, 18 Cup of Nations have been won by African coaches and 16 by foreigners. So that's a story you can find on page 39. So that's it for the Standard. I'm actually looking forward to hearing what you have on the sports there.
All right.
Because you will explain more what I don't understand.
The one thing we understand is that your team left the competition.
That is so sad. You know, I was mourning alone yesterday. My Teranga Lions.
Lucky we were not here.
No, it's time for me to shift. So Utania, how is South Africa?
Okay, we will compare notes. All right, the Daily Nation, the first page, that is the front page of the Daily Nation. Storm over housing levy. So they're reporting of the big divide. States two-pronged strategy in court and parliament to salvage the fee. So Raila Odinga is asking president to stop railroading the levies and instead convene a national dialogue on implementation of the housing project. I see Kupet Secretary General Akelo Misori demanding teachers be refunded illegally deducted levy. And once a TSC boss of contempt of court suit, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula filing a notice to appeal at the Supreme Court, the verdict declaring taxes unconstitutional. Then there is Mbeere North MP Jeffrey Ruku, who is warning contractors who abandon project sites that they will be deemed opposition sympathizers and they will be blacklisted from state jobs. So a teachers union joins a growing number of trade unions demanding the government refunds money deducted from last month's salary to fund housing projects, citing a court order halting deductions. Kupet yesterday joined unions representing civil servants, medics and university lecturers that have made similar demands. The National Assembly signaled it would appeal at the Supreme Court the decision, outlawing the charges even as the opposition chief asked the president to negotiate. And that is a story that you can read on page 6 and 7. Of course, the president remaining adamant that he will continue with his affordable housing project. On page 2, we have Halwale's farmhand burial now suspended. The decision follows a new twist over his death as homicide detectives probe further. And of course, there is a picture of the Kakamega Senator Halwale speaking to DCI detectives at his Malinya home in Ikolomani in Kakamega County yesterday. This followed the death of his fighter bull trainer Kizito Moi on the 28th of January while on duty. I see Uhuru San withdraws firearms suit after consent. It's a story you can read on page 2. Safety concerns as more modern women opt to give birth at home. So home births are being preferred because women feel more in control and in a familiar environment. But doctor says giving birth in hospital makes it easy for the woman to get immediate assistance in case of emergency. What's happening? Read that on page 3 inside the Daily Nation. How rogue officers collude to defeat justice for defiled girls. Security officials, some teachers and parents are colluding with suspects to frustrate all proceedings. Among the tricks is obtaining IDs for the minors indicating older ages. Terrible story. You can read on page 10. I see County News, Kiambu denies raising land rates, imposing new ones. Administration says it is working with laws and regulations enacted by previous regimes. So current valuation rule was adopted in 2018 to harmonize rates in the counties. That you can read on page 12. Inside the DN2 pullout, it is the DN2 property home come office. Please look at how generation shift is shaping taste for office, home design and furniture, and you can read that on the DN2 pullout. The back page of the Nation, state eyes mini budget to pay contractors billions. Government targets exercise in March to partly offset what it owes companies. So you can read that. I see state corporations top list of officers in acting capacity. Report reveals state corporations and semi-autonomous government agencies are topping the list of institutions where 2,660 held accounting positions in the year to June 2023. That is covered in the back page. Now the sports page, we have Cape Verde, a dangerous team. South Africa turned focus on quarterfinals. Pitso Mosimane picks out his South Africa masterclass player, and he covered every blade of grass. Ex-Bafana coach praises midfielder. This is Teboho Mokoena, who has earned lavish praise from the highly decorated coach Pitso Mosimane. Yes, and of course, same problems undo the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. So pundits are questioning squad selection and the ability of Song, who enjoys backing of Fecafoot boss Samuel Eto'o. And of course, we have the quarterfinal lineup. Tomorrow, we have 2 matches to be played in Abidjan. The Super Eagles of Nigeria will be taking on Angola, as the Leopards of DR Congo will be taking on Guinea at 11 p.m. Those are the 2 matches tomorrow. Saturday in Bouake, Mali will be taking on the host Cote d'Ivoire from 8 p.m. and then at 11 p.m. it will be a South African derby, as Cape Verde will be locking horns with the Bafana of South Africa. Then I see this unforgiving Cote d'Ivoire 2023 becomes a graveyard for African heavyweights. And yeah, indeed, the heavyweights have tasted defeat. Yesterday, or rather the day before, we saw Morocco being the latest to face the dust. So it's tough. It's tough for the big teams. Egypt exposes Malkia strikers underbelly that needs fixing. That is in as far as boxing. Soya at 20, organizers plan huge Nairobi party. And then I see prize money for 2024 Kenya Open goes up. That is in the Daily Nation. Just a look at the Business Daily. Middle class power bills jump 70% in a year. Cost of 200 units of power has shot up by 3,073 shillings. Increase follows end of subsidies and shilling free fall. Then I see Ruto sets new Eurobond buyback date as maturity looms. That is in as far as the Business Daily, covering the various business stories touching on Kenya.
All right, amazing. You know, at first kuna time nilisema I want to be with the Nigerians. And then I don't know what Teranga like. I think, you know, the Bible says, forget the former things. You know, I was counting on them from before. But anyway, I see it's 7:50 right about now, so we can usher in the video of the day. But of course, people can get updated on Hope FM. That is at the top of every hour from 7 all the way to 7 p.m. And of course, right here on Hope TV, we have Dira and also News Watch at 9 p.m. Dira, that's at 7 p.m. So you can be updated or get also a favorite copy of, you know, either the Daily Nation or the Standard. And of course, this helps us to know how to pray and also to be informed about what is happening in our country. So let us check out the video of the day and then we'll be back shortly.